Good morning, everybody. I wanted to share with you what I've put together for my students based on the amazing artwork created by Jacob Hashimoto. If you're unfamiliar with Jacob Hashimoto's work, I'm showing you his website homepage, and it is just phenomenal. So I show my students a lot of his work. I talk about his process. There are videos you can show your students. So that is the beginning. What students are going to put together, let me jump to the end, and then I'll jump back to the beginning. What students are going to be actually creating is something like this. And this is one of my examples. What they do is they create one hexagon or circle shape. And within that, I require them to include 5 additional shapes. And then each one of those hexagons, there'll be hex 1, hex 2, hex 3. I have them name each of those files. One of those does not have to be a hexagon. It's going to be a circle shape. So I tell them they can either do 1 hexagon and 2 circles, 3 different files, or 2 circles, 1 hexagon. Again, 3 different files. They pull each one into a Google slide, duplicate it, change the color so that they have 3 copies of each of their original designs. So then we do a little math. 3 times 3 is 9. And then I also include, they must add a couple of blank hexagons or circles that return transparent, and they add a background. So that's the finale. Now, how do we get there? Well, after showing them his work, and I do love showing them this image, then we go to Google Draw. Okay, so these are some of my examples. If you're unfamiliar with Google Draw, you open your drive, you click the plus sign for new, you scroll down to more, and you go over to Google Drawings. So step number 1, label your file, click Untitled. We're going to call this Hex 1. Okay, I'm going to just show you one of them. Go to Shapes. And again, they can either use the circle shape, which technically they call it an oval on here. Why don't they just say circle? And then to the hexagon shape. Click it, and we talk about how many sides does a hexagon have, and so forth. Okay, so we're going to press down on your keypad, hold the Shift key down, and draw a giant hexagon. At this point, I go around and check to see, do we all have a hexagon, not a pentagon, not an octagon, whatever. Okay, now we go to your paint bucket. And I tell students any colors except the highlighter row because they've already finished a previous project where we use the highlighter row, in other words, the neons. So I'll just pick gold. Okay, now to have the border or not have the border, that is the question. So I'm going to click the pen, border color, either make it a different color or keep it black. I will just for fun go with a different color here. Go to border weight, 24. If you're going to have a border, okay? Now, inside of this, they need to create 5 more shapes. Go back to your shapes. In the shape options, they can use anything from the circle row to the 12-sided shape, nothing else in that category of shapes. Why? Because that's my rule. You may have a different rule, go for it. Or they can go to callouts, I should say, and they can go to callouts. They know these shapes from the 4-pointed star to the 32-pointed star. These are great fun to use. Finger on the Shift key, hold it down, and draw a giant one. Now, I also tell them about these red lines. If you see these red lines, that centers it on your page. And that allows you to center your other shapes on that page. Where is that horizontal? There it is. Okay. Sorry, it's a morning. Let me have a sip of water. It is a morning. And I've been teaching all week. Okay, so let's go to paint bucket. Let's pick a color. Again, any color you want, let's go dark here. And I'm going to go to a border. Again, any border color you want. If you want a border, make it part of the design. Okay, that color is too similar. I'm going to go here. Ooh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go to 8. And then they would just keep adding shapes. Okay, so again, they can do things like this. We talk about transparency. Take the rectangle shape and draw all the way down. This is a cool feature I like to show them. We are going to go to your paint bucket. I'm going to change the color. Why not? Get rid of the border, transparent. Now let's make this shape transparent. Go back to your paint bucket. If you click transparent, that removes all of the color. So the trick is go to the plus sign for custom, slide the dial, and kaboom. Okay. So you can keep adding shapes. Another cool thing is under the 32-point star, or any of the stars really, draw one, line it up. See this little gold diamond? Drag that down. Okay. So again, anything works. You decide if you're going to allow them to use all the colors. That is up to you. Okay. So if you want something in front of something else, click the shape that you want in front, go to Arrange, Order, Bring to Front. So right now I have 32-point star, I have rectangle bar, I have another 32-point star. I need 2 more shapes. Dos más. Okay, so let me come back over here. Again, you can do other things. Here's a cool one I like to show students. Take the circle, finger on the shift key. I'm going to draw this big circle, look to line it up. I mean, look, I can go on and on with these. I love doing this project. There we go. I see it. Okay. And let's remove the color. Go to your paint bucket. Go to transparent. Go to your line. Change your color. Change your point size maybe. Go to border dash. Aha. So anyway, this is how that's off center, but this is how you can sort of experiment with that. And again, it gets a little tricky sometimes if you're trying to go front and back with getting things lined up. So anyway, there we go. Now I have 32, I have rectangle, I have 32, I have circle. I need one more. I've got an idea. I'm going to go to the circle and I'm going to go bing, 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 and make a tiny one here. And I'm going to go back to my original color, get rid of the border. Okay, so they're going to make another file. They would go back up here to go to File, New, Drawing. Okay, call this one Hex 2. Don't forget to label them, otherwise they end up in Never Never Land, I tell students. Hex 2, same idea. Again, File, New, Drawing, Hex 3. So they'll have 3 of these files. What to do when you're done with that? You are going to download each one as a PNG file so it doesn't have a background. Okay, how do you do that? File, download, PNG, kadum. Okay. I always like to double check this because sometimes, depending on which computer I'm using, it's my home computer, depending on whether or not I'm using my school computer or a laptop, sometimes they jump in and out of being saved as a PNG file or a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, I'm going to make sure I'm going to go to Export. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing right now because some computers don't allow you to see this when I'm screen sharing Firefox. But if you're wondering, I've opened up my file that I just downloaded. I'm going to double check and make sure that it is saved as a PNG file. Okay. All right. So let's say you have all 3 done. And by the way, this is day 1. Information about the artist, starting the hexagons. Day 2, you are going to open up a Google slide. So you go back to your drive, you go to New, you go to Google Slides, and you click that open. Here's putting it all together. Again, I'm going to do this with 1, not all, so you can get the idea. Okay, let's label it. What are we calling this? Hex Final. Okay. Click on the box. Here's the thing, right? You got to click on the black line to turn it blue and delete or backspace. Click on the black line, turn it blue, kaboom. Sometimes I see students sitting there tapping, tapping, tapping on the writing and it's not going away. Then I say, you got to click on that line. Okay, we are going to bring in your hexagon 1 if you've downloaded it. So how do we do that? You go next to the text box, bing, 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 click open the insert image, upload from computer. And again, you are going to find that file. Okay. So once you find that file, and again, my computer's slow because boy, oh boy, isn't it ever a Friday. And what a week we have had. So here is my Hex 1. And ready, set, open, upload. Okay, here it is. Does it have a background? Move it around. Do you see white? I can see it does not. Okay. All right, here's what you do. Shift key with one finger, bring this down on the other, so it's not giant on your page. We're going to duplicate it. How do you duplicate it? It has to have a blue line around it. If I go like that, there's nothing to duplicate. If I go like that, aha, Control D, voila, 2. What do? Go to Format Options. Sometimes students don't see that command. If you don't see it there, go over to the word Format and Format Options. It's the same thing. But you won't see it at all if you haven't clicked anything. Okay, some kids go, I can't find it. I go, you haven't clicked anything. Click it, Format Options. Okay, watch. Go to Recolor. Click on the No Recolor. Pick a color. So here's the thing. It doesn't recolor every section. It gives it a shade of colors. Okay, so there's 2. I'm going to go one more. And what am I going to do? Move it over, size it down, go to Recolor, and let me find a different color. Okay. Can you make these transparent? Oh, yes, you can. So watch. If I make this giant, but I want to see my other ones, go to Adjustments. Opacity is the key. And there you go. Okay. So let me get to my final one here. Now you can see what I've done. I have Hex 1, which I've copied twice, changed the color. I have Hex 2, which I've copied and changed the color. And I have Hex 3. I actually have another one in here because this is my example. When you get all done, you add these separate hexagons. Let me make this full color here, and you can see it. You make a bunch of these. Okay. This one shows up because it's in front of the others. How do you make those transparent? Go to your paint bucket, go to Custom, slide the dial. Okay, when you're all done, play with color. I tell students, look, this is the beauty of Google Slides. You can, if I go to here, I change the color, Control D, duplicate, change the color, find one that you like. Okay, you never know what's going to look good. So I hope that helps you. When you're done with this, they go to File, Download, JPEG. This is what they submit for grading. Okay. All right. It has been great doing this with you all this morning. And let me know if you have any questions. MonteroJ@dexterschools.org.